Eorin is an agility-based ranger class hero from the Wilder faction who specializes in burst damage, and in today's video we're going to take a look at his skills and abilities, his teams and uses, and whether or not it's worth investing in this hero, so let's get into it. His ultimate ability is Combined Spear. For this one, he's going to combine the shaft and spearhead to attack his enemies 4 times. Each hit is going to apply the debuffs Poisonous Mushroom and Vine Fern. On top of that, these debuffs will have increased damage of 25% for the following 5 seconds. His next ability is Weak Spot Mark. For this one, at the beginning of battle, he's going to teleport to the enemy with the highest attack rating, dealing damage and also applying them with the Weak Spot Mark, which is going to reduce their crit damage resistance, and if that enemy dies, he will refresh this ability. Then we have Poisonous Mushroom. This one's a passive where his spearhead attacks will apply 1 stack of Poisonous Mushroom to the enemy, which can be stacked up to 3 times, and it will be spread if he uses his shaft to attack that enemy. Now, each stack of Poisonous Mushroom will deal damage over time to the enemies over a period of 6 seconds. Meanwhile, the Poisonous Mushroom will also apply 1 stack of Vine Fern on the enemy every second, and Vine Fern will reduce their crit block rate for the next 5 seconds. Now, when one of the enemies with Vine Fern takes a critical strike, the rest of the enemies will suffer damage, and the damage will be amplified by each stack of Vine Fern on the target, and this has a 5-second cooldown. For the ability Stacking Spores, he's going to swiftly attack an enemy 4 times. Now, if the enemy has Poisonous Mushroom on them when they take the 4th hit, then each stack of that Poisonous Mushroom will cause the last hit to deal additional damage equal to 2% of the enemy's lost health. His signature item skill is Parasitic Spear. For this one, each stack of Poisonous Mushroom is going to reduce the damage that an enemy deals to Eorin by 5%. At level 10, this increases to 10%. At level 20, 100% of the damage dealt by his Poisonous Mushroom is going to be converted into health for himself. And at level 30, each time a Vine Fern damage is triggered, he will gain an attack rating permanently of 2.5%, which can stack up to 15 times. His furniture ability is Rotten Sprout. At level 3, when an enemy with Poisonous Mushroom debuff dies, he will gain an increase of crit rating and attack for 5 seconds, and he can gain multiple stacks of this buff. Then at level 9, when Poisonous Mushroom is first applied to an enemy, it will cause them to receive more damage from Eorin. However, this will diminish over time. And finally, we have his engravings. At level 30, when inflicting Poisonous Mushroom on an enemy that already has the debuff, they will suffer damage based on the stacks of Poisonous Mushroom that they have. And at level 60, it will increase the damage that the final hit can apply when using his Stacking Spores ability. Despite his high burst damage, Eorin still struggles at high deficits in campaign and tower modes. However, he does find some nice uses in PvP to counter certain enemies, and also can be a fantastic unit to build to help progress in the Wilder faction tower. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at him in a pure Wilder team. And even though he can work really well with units like Laika and Mishka, often when you progress higher into the faction tower, those units will be in a separate team with something like a Raku. So this team will consist of Eorin, Gorvo, Lawson, Navanthi, and a Star. Due to Eorin invading the enemy lines, Gorvo is a great partner for him, as Gorvo will go and stun the enemies and also draw some of the aggro away from Eorin. Next up, we have Lawson. Lawson's in this team to be able to link 2 enemies together to really capitalize on the burst damage that Eorin is dealing. Then we have Navanthi and a Star. These 2 are in the team for the same reason. 1, to heal, and 2, to apply damage mitigation to help our Gorvo and Eorin survive while they're getting attacked by the enemies. And finally, we obviously have Eorin. He works fantastic in this team with the synergies provided to deal massive burst damage and eliminate the enemy team. As for artifacts on Eorin, the best option is going to be Dual Divinity. The fact that he's going to be invading the enemy lines to attack them means he's going to gain the full advantage of this artifact. However, if you don't have it, you can always get away with something like Jura's Eye. With all that out of the way, how far do we want to invest into Eorin? Now, keeping in mind he does have very niche uses in PvP and the faction towers, so you really want to prioritize your investment on heroes for your main teams first. But when we look at investing into him, his signature item, you can settle anywhere from 10 to 20 to 30 depending on your resources. Each upgrade is going to be nice, but nothing is mandatory for him to be able to be used. As for his furniture, level 9 is where you really want to get to really maximize his burst potential. But once again, if you are short on resources and have other heroes that you're prioritizing, you can quite comfortably use him at 0 furniture. And finally, his engravings. For these ones, you can comfortably use him at 0. Level 30 would be nice, but 60 is definitely not necessary. So if you're low on resources, once again, feel free to leave him at 0 engravings and just use him for his specific purposes. So that is going to be it for Eorin, a wilder who has high burst damage and some very specific uses, but can be quite effective. Thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and we'll look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.